Well, hello there. It's David Baer here from winebaer.net with another wine conversation. And today we are speaking with Giulio Parentini, who is sitting right now in his home across the world in southern Tuscany, in an area that you may not have heard of called the Maremma. So, hey, Giulio, welcome so much. So happy to have you here with us today on our wine conversation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, David.
Yeah. So we have a little bit of a time delay. We have a little bit of a time delay, and also my camera delays are off because I wasn't switching back and forth properly, but it doesn't interfere with this great conversation I know we're going to be having right now about you, about the region that you work in, the wines that you produce under your family's label, Morisfarms, and we'll get into all of that. But I wonder if you could just give everyone an introduction to you and to the region that you're in right now.
Okay, Morisfarms is a company owned by 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I am the CEO since 3 years of these estates, and we own 2 estates, both in Maremma, completely independent, one in the south part of Maremma, one in the north part of Maremma. Our production is pretty various. We have 3 white wines and 5 red wines, aged or not aged in barrique. It's interesting to see how in a small area like Maremma we have the different soil condition, sandy soil or clay soil, that gives us a different flavor, different taste to the wine. In all our products you can have a different kind of tannin, softer or more elegant tannin.
So before we get into the wine specifically, I bet a lot of our audience doesn't even know where the Maremma is.
I apologize.
So could we let's start with a little bit of history. The Maremma is the southern area or southernmost wine producing area in Toscana, in Tuscany, as we Americans say it. And it's not necessarily as famous for wines as it is for the beef industry, I guess. Is that correct?
We have a very interesting kind of cow production, the Maremma cow. You are one of the few that in USA knows about it. Great. Never heard about this in USA, but the Maremma cow is pretty famous. Mm-hmm. We produce. We have a good tourism industry because it's a beautiful location, golf courses, nice beaches. We are in front of Elba Island, just to give you an idea of location. So South Pisa, North Rome, west from Siena, in an area that, as you said, is not yet famous about the wine, but when my father started producing quality wines in 1988, more or less, was even less famous, completely unknown, completely wide.
Yep. So this is an area that I think is like many areas throughout the entire country of Italy. There are places that have a history of making great wines, but not necessarily internationally famous areas. And your label, due to I think a lot of the work that your father has done, and I've seen you here in the U.S. Introducing people to your wines as well, is becoming more and more well known, and is an interesting alternative to a lot of the more classical, more famous areas that we all know from your general region. So things like Chianti Classico, etc.
Absolutely. The blend of all our wines is based on the same Sangiovese grape that is famous in Brunello and Chianti area, as you said. The name of appellation that we are selling are not yet as famous as these. We started later. Maremma is a young baby producer for compared historic area like Chianti.
Mm-hmm. So and what is Maremma versus Morellino di Scansano? Can you explain the difference to our audience?
Okay, Maremma is a bigger area, still very small compared to old Tuscany, but is an area that includes something like 7 DOC and 1 DOCG plus 2 IGT. This is just to give you an idea how it's complicated, the Italian rules. Morisfarms, with 2 estates, cover something like 2 IGT, 1 DOCG, and 2 DOC. So we have a lot of rules in our estate.
So for people who don't even know what Giulio is talking about, in Europe, a lot of the ways that wine growing and other food industries are governed are by local panels who have sort of an oversight to make sure that the production conforms to the rules. And so all of those letters he was just throwing around relate to different either standards of rules or different groups of rules, different umbrellas that winemaking may fall under, etc. And it's, as he said, very complicated to have all of these structures in place.
Unfortunately, I mean, you have to understand this. The idea of a DOC is to make an area with similar quality, similar characteristic expressed very well. So you have rules to assure the customer to drink something with high quality that they can recognize. And as you said, this is not just for the wine, but it's even for several kinds of food. The famous Parmigiano Reggiano has its own rules to be produced, and so a customer who buys Parmigiano Reggiano knows that is eating something with a similar tasting. This is the idea of an appellation. The beautiful thing in Italy, and especially Maremma, is that every few miles you have different weather condition, different soil condition, and so not all the wines are the same, not all the production are the same, and they created so many micro area, micro terroir with different characteristics. Unfortunately, to promote and describe them outside Italy is not easy, because I understand that it's too complicated speaking about so many little area with so little difference that we can appreciate, but are very difficult to pass to a customer so far away like you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the family business, the history of it. How did it get? How long has it been around? How did it get started? And when did you come into the picture?
Okay, Morris family came from Spain more than 250 years ago, and now we are living in Tuscany since generation, and we work in the land of Tuscany since long times in the vineyards. Not just in the vineyards, in the natural, in the agriculture. And Morris always had forest, grain fields for cereal, olive trees, and always a little part of wine production to make wine for local customer, local market. My father in 1977, sorry, came, married my mother, and then he came in Morisfarms estate, and they found a beautiful estate with great potential, but not used in the correct way. And so he started bottling the wine, trying to export. He did for the first time Morellino di Scanzano wine. Before was just table wine, the low quality, no appellation. So he said, let's try to do something different and so on. And year after year, he created a market. He started describing the wine outside Maremma, then outside Tuscany, then outside Italy, and now we are pretty well known everywhere. Everywhere, in several parts of the world. The word is always too big to say everywhere. I start following my father since I was young. I mean, next week I will go to my 23rd Vinitaly, something similar, because I'm doing Vinitaly since I was young. I always enjoy my father. I always enjoy to promote the wines together with my father, meet customer. I travel outside Italy quite often when it's possible. And since 2011, I became the new CEO of the state, together with my cousin. me and my cousin are the CEO of Morisfarms, the one who took all in the responsibility. He takes more care of Italian market, I takes more care of the export market, but both we share the responsibility, the decision, and we are doing a pretty good job in a very difficult moment, unfortunately, because now everything is difficult. Yeah. We are, I think, the right guys in the right moment for the state. We have new idea. We are restyling just a little details. We don't want to forget our tradition, our history. Absolutely not. But we are doing little changes, new stand-up in Italy, little details on the labels, new brochure, new website that we are preparing, and so on. We are opening new market together, and so on.
So you're raising some interesting issues because these are the real-world business challenges that wineries deal with all over the world. But a lot of consumers don't think beyond what, you know, a romantic lifestyle you must lead. You have a winery, you must and drink really well, but you've just talked about what I hear in many of these conversations, which is you're running a business and you have to make real business decisions.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, this is a job that I love because it's something that has several advantages, but as you said, it's not just the romantic novel that people can imagine. I have to discuss with a bank asking for money. I have to look for money from my customer, and I have to look for money to pay my employees and my supplier, and so on. So it's any kind of business with unbelievable variable. It's a kind of job that I think is so strange that a lot of people don't imagine. We are not producing cream or chocolate biscuit. Yeah. We are producing a product that is live, that is influenced by the weather condition. There are no recipes to make a bottle of wine. It's not a standard product. It's not Coca-Cola. It's a product that is influenced by the weather condition. It's always different. We want to do the best in every vintage. Obviously, I just came now from the state, come back from a business day, and it was interesting to see that this morning I was on the fields with the mud, walking through the vineyards to check how we are cutting the plants, or to check a new field that we are going to use to plant a new vineyard. In the afternoon, I had a supplier who was promoting me a new kind of bottle, and then I had the customer, then I had a control with the police, and so on. So a regular business day that is mixed with the strangest situation. Passing from the field to the bank and speaking with workers and so on.
Well, you just made it sound so unappealing to. So you just made it sound so unappealing to somebody who has had this fantasy of becoming a winery owner.
Don't start from zero. Yeah. Absolutely don't start from zero. It's crazy. If you want to make $1 million with a wine business, start with 2 million and work very hard.
You know, that's a tale often told, but it's absolutely true. Now, you mentioned a few minutes ago something called Vin Italy a few times, and I wonder if you can describe that. Many of people in the audience may just be wine consumers and don't know about this fabulous event that takes place every year and all of the little satellite events around it and how instrumental that can be in your business. Can you talk a little bit about what it is and how it works?
Okay, I should look on the website of Vin Italy right now to have an idea of the previous number, because I want to be as more as possible precise. I can tell you that we are going to attend at the 49th edition of the most important Italian wine fair, and probably worldwide, because it's absolutely unbelievable to see how many thousands of Italian producers are show their wine at this during this wine exposition, and people who comes from all the world. Just to give you an idea, there are something like 30,000 square feet of exposition with 4,000 of more than 4,000 of wine producer, 155,000 people who comes to visit, and 55,000 people from outside Italy, almost 56,000 people from all over the world. It's a wine exposition that was very useful and important for my father, because since 1988 we attend there. Mm-hmm. We attended this wine exposition, and it's useful for us to introduce the wines to importer, journalist, restaurant owner, wine shop owner. We introduce the new vintages. We can discuss with them. Morisfarms created his own space year after year, his own customer who come back to say hello, who come back to drink a new glass of wine. Just to give you an idea, at the beginning, my father, when was alone attending at Vinitaly, he knew few people, and few people passed to our stand to drink the wine, Morisfarms, who no one was knowing. And it was funny because all the times that someone my father knew, he stopped to drink a glass together with them. He shared with friends, oh, hello, welcome here, let's drink this new red wine together, and my father drank together with them. Now we are a little different. Just to give you an idea, in a day we are able to open 300-400 glasses. We don't drink anymore with the customer. I just pour the wine, but we stop drinking because I don't want to die after 4 days of wine exposition drinking wines with 400. We are really proud to say that now people come to visit Morisfarms. Year after year, we have our space that is pretty big. Mistake. We have 32 square meters. It's 100 square feet, more or less. So the wine exposition is 91,000 square meters. 91,000 square meters. Not feet. I did a mistake. So it's pretty huge. Yeah. You can stay there for 4 days and you are not able to see the 4,000 producers that show their wines. There are thousands of.
And then there's the official event, and then there's unofficial events all around it that are probably additional winemakers who aren't even participating. Is that right?
Yes, honestly, this is the part of Vinitaly that I don't know very well, because for me, Vinitaly is from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. inside the wine exposition. Yeah. I know that there are people who don't attend and organize other events. We are going to do a meeting with our importers, some of our customers, on Sunday evening at the restaurant, but nothing explosive. We are really tired after 8 hours, 9 hours of wine exposition. We don't eat, we don't go to bathroom, we are closed in our stand for all the times. We go to bed quite early and we wake up early every day. It's the most exciting period, tiring period that I have during all the year. I love and I hate Vinitaly. When it has to start, I'm nervous. When it finishes, I'm sad because it's a part of my life. Yeah. Really, when I was young, I was really sad when it was finished. Now, I'm satisfied, but I'm still a little sad because it's a period during which I'm really charged. I need to rest in the next days because I need a lot of energy during the days of Italy.
Yeah. Well, you and I have had the pleasure of working together both in the New York market and out here in the Oregon, Washington market, and even doing some events together. And I got to say, the scale of the events that we did in New York together, we only had a mere 1,000 people show up, and it was just one day. So for me, organizing that event was a bit explosive, but I can't imagine the kind of adrenaline rush that you get, and then the withdrawal afterwards from going through an event like Vinitaly after so many people in so many days.
No, absolutely. I have a Japanese importer who contacted me in January. Just after Christmas period, I received an email from, all the year, I received an email from a Japanese importer. Can we meet at Vinitaly Tuesday, 23rd of April at 9 a.m.? Are you available? For sure, I'm available. You have 3 months of time. It's still plenty of time, and so on.
Right.
Then I have a journalist. Then I have one events. Then I have. Do you want to do this advertisement? Do you want to do this interview? Then can we meet? Can I taste new wines? I have to bottle the wine. It's a period during which I need to introduce the new vintages, so the new white wines, the young red wines, the samples from the tank of new vintage of aged wines. I need even to bring preview wines, even if they are not really bottled. I can introduce to the customer to give something new. So there are so many things to prepare in 2-3 months. I have a pallet that Monday morning will leave for Verona, the city where we are going to attend at Vinitaly, and we have a pallet full of bottles of wine, of material that we need in our stand, that and even water. Water is really precious during Vinitaly, and so we have something like 24 bottles of water. I should start selling water during Vinitaly. People drink so much wine that they love my water. When they stop at the stand, can I have a glass of water? And I always offer a glass of water. It's more precious than wine. So I have this pallet ready to be delivered at our stand next Saturday.
Wow, it seems overwhelming to me, and I have experience as a professional event planner, but nothing like that. So that's just amazing. So let's get back. Let's get back a little bit to Morisfarms and to understand a little bit more about the wines that you're producing. And I think we should focus on probably the broader. More broadly distributed wines that people might find in their local marketplace. But let's talk about maybe the climate and how it's different in other climates where Sangiovese is grown and what that implies for your wines.
We have a warmer condition than the inside part of Tuscany. We are able to crop the grapes more or less 1 month and a half in advance than the Chianti Brunello area. Our harvest starts at the end of August, beginning of September, and normally we finish the first days of October. So is an early harvest compared Brunello and Chianti area that they do the harvest in October, the end of September, and maybe some days of November. Something different compared to us. This brings Sangiovese that is softer, different acidity, less aggressive, and sweeter taste. A different ripeness in the grapes, and the influence of the seaside help us to have normally good weather conditions. So occasionally we have a bad harvest, but not too often. The health of the grapes is really preserved by the wind from the seaside, is preserved from the not too rainy area. We are more a dry area compared to other areas. It's not in heaven, but in the average, it has a good, quite good climate condition. Mm-hmm. The wine most sold in USA market are probably two. I mean, the Vermentino, that is a white wine based on the white grape called Vermentino with 10% of Viognier, a crispy, nice acidity white wine with nice mineral taste. Drinks very well with appetizer, finger food, pasta. Fried food is fantastic. And another wines that we sell in big quantity in USA market is Morellino di Scanzano, the young version, that is something that you can compare with a Chianti red wine, but with a younger and easier way to be drunk. Still based on Sangiovese, but I think that American customers are appreciating this kind of appellation more because it's even more drinkable, less known but more drinkable than Chianti.
And you said basically Sangiovese. What else is blended in there?
Okay, by law you have 85% of the
Yeah.
Sangiovese minimum. You can do even with 100%. In Morisfarms' case, is done with 10% of Merlot and Syrah to make it a little softer and even easier to drink, because the Sangiovese can have a kind of acidity that often people don't appreciate a lot. So we blend with just a touch of Merlot and Syrah to make it more interesting and more particular.
Okay, I asked you that question because I wanted to move to a subject that I think will be interesting to some people, and it's uncommon in much of Tuscany. Well, actually, I was going to say it's uncommon, but it's actually really common. There are traditional historic grape varieties from Italy, but you also work with grape varieties that are historically not Italian. And you mentioned both in the white wine as well as in the red wine, and then you have a flagship wine which has a lot of Syrah in it. Could you talk a little bit about how these non-Italian varieties work into the culture of your area?
I mean, I think that I have an answer for this question.
Okay.
I'm ready. I was ready. The name of the varietal is international, but it's really important where a grape grown. I give you this example. In 1990, my father planted for the first time the grape called Syrah, an international grape with a name that really my father didn't know yet, because consider that 25 years ago, that looked like it is not so long time ago. It's a huge amount of time speaking about the wine culture in general worldwide. So people are much more knowledgeable now. My father, following the suggestion of a winemaker, planted this grape for the first time in the clay soil estate. He obtained a grape with personality, strong color, nice bouquet, great spicy taste that since 1997 we are using in our most important wines, in the blend of important wines of Morisfarms, Avvoltore. In 1995, my father said, oh, this grape is very good in the clay soil estate, let's plant this grape in the sandy soil estate too. We didn't obtain the same result. It's still Syrah, still the French name of a grape, but it's a Syrah grown with different soil condition. Even with the same experience of Morisfarms, the Syrah that we produce in the other estate is a Syrah with less personality, less color, less spicy taste, and it's a Syrah that we use in our entry-level wine. Is a good wine, is a good grape, but it is not as particular as the Syrah that we use in the clay soil estate. So we need to experiment. We need to try. I told you that we use the Syrah in Moralino because I was honest. It's a grape that we have and we really blend. But it's not the same kind of Syrah that you really smell in the important wine like Avvoltore. So we have the traditional varietal. We have a huge amount of varietal that are interesting, but we always experiment something to see how it can result in our estate. We found a very interesting result with Syrah in the clay soil estate. We have a good result with Cabernet Sauvignon in both the states. So it's just doing experiment that we can create something more personal, a better recipe of Morisfarms grapes and blend. So it's not just a French varietal, it's a French name of a varietal, but grown by Morisfarms in Maremma, in one particular Maremma estate with Morisfarms knowledge and Maremma condition. So this is my opinion. We need to experiment, not just to think that it's easy and it's just an international blend. Italy in general is not focused on the blend like our other area of the world. I mean, outside Italy you sell just Syrah, just Cabernet and so on. In Italy you still sell the producer, the name of the family. We sell Morisfarms. You can sell Antinori. You can sell the area, so the appellation is even more important than the grape. Before you sell Tuscany, you sell Piedmont, you sell Veneto, and then you sell the grape. But I think that for the Italian wine is more important who is producing, where is producing, and then what is producing.
I think that's a great lesson, and I wasn't trying to set you up with that question. It's an interesting aspect of what you're doing that I think a lot of consumers may not know. And I think you're absolutely right that we have these international varieties that many countries around the world have embraced. Syrah is actually not originally even French. It comes from what is probably
Africa.
yeah, so either North Africa or the Middle East, Mesopotamia or someplace, made its way to France, and then made its way to South Africa, made its way to Australia, made its way to the U.S. There are lots of these international varieties. I think many consumers will be surprised to discover that Italy, with its many traditions, has also embraced experimenting with international varieties and influences from elsewhere. And that's not anything new. I mean, Italy has been part of the spice trade, hundreds of years ago. So there's lots of history there. But I think you really helped encapsulate this subject matter with the way that you responded to that, and I appreciate that.
I mean, French wine are not necessarily better than Italian wines. They are better marketing. They are really able to sell better than it. We do a mistake in Italy. In Italy, we don't promote and we don't believe enough in our area. They said me that if you go in France and you stop to a doctor, to a newspaper shop, to a bakery shop, they always ask, have you drunk our wine? Have you tasted? Oh, welcome, you are a tourist. Did you try our wines? In Italy, we do the opposite. We don't know enough about our area. We don't promote enough. It's one mistake. We just speak bad about the other producer. My father thinks that this is completely wrong. The other producer are not competitor until they don't work bad. If they work in the correct way, in the same direction, the same quality focusing that you are, they are not competitor, they are partner, because they help to promote Maremma, they help to promote the specific area of Morellino, and they have the same vision that you have. If they work bad, they make they damage even your market. But if they work well, they help your market too. This is what we have to learn in Italy, to say our area is very good, our products are very good, mine are a little better, but both produce very good wines.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to being a business owner before even being, the romantic winemaker. There are lots of things that you have to deal with in promoting not only your own brand but also your local industry and your region and many other things. So I want to wrap things up here in the next few minutes. But before we do that, I want to make sure that viewers get to find out where they can discover your wines. And so can you give us an idea of not just here in North America, but where around the world are your wines available, and then are there particular markets here in the U.S. that they'll be easier to find?
The first market for us is still Italy, and in particular Tuscany. I'm proud to say that Morisfarms is a Tuscany producer with a lot of customer in Tuscany, because we really do wines that even for quality price people in Tuscany appreciate. We don't do wines just for fashion, just for a particular market. The same wine that you can drink in USA is the same identical wine that daily a lot of Tuscany people drink, and Italian people too. Outside Italy, we have European customers, in particular the Switzerland market, but since a few years we are increasing very well with high top wines, special formats in London, in UK market. We are available, our Parentini and Avvoltore are available at Harrods, for example. So
that's
pretty
great.
Well known.
Yeah. Okay. You heard that if you go to Harrods, you can find the wines down in the basement, in the cellar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Probably it's not the best deal, but the cheapest price in Harrods, but you can you can drink a good bottle of wine. Then we have Asia market, speaking about Japan, but not just it. We sell even in Hong Kong, Taiwan. Something in China. China, everyone thinks China is big, you should sell. China is not an easy market because they drink a lot of cheap wine, and for cheap I mean that 2-3 euro are expensive, so they need very, very cheap wine, and it's impossible for me. Or they need very famous wines, more often French wine, and so this is not easy. Fortunately, there are so many people that are able to be served, that we are able to serve, and so we have a little market even in China. Then something in Thailand. Then we move west, and we sell in Canada, Brazil, Mexico, and USA. USA, we have an importer state by state. Unfortunately, this is an advantage and disadvantage, because the final price on the shelf is lower because there are less passage. Morisfarms, importer, wine shop, and customer. This is a short way, more direct, and help us to follow better the market. Unfortunately, we don't cover all the markets. In USA in particular, we have California, we have Minnesota, New York, a good market for us is, for example, the Michigan. Michigan is a customer who buy all our wines. Last year was the first market. So it's when you create a nice relationship with a customer, you are able to sell pretty well. My wines are wines that need to be sold not just thanks to the label, not just thanks to the points that more or less are not bad, but they need to be sold explaining the family behind, selling a face, more or less beautiful, but a face. And this is why I travel to describe the wine and describe the passion and the wines that are inside that bottle.
Well, that's great. So, and I'm very impressed that you remembered all of those places, including several states. So, congratulations on that. And it is a challenge. Obviously, there's a price advantage to going direct to a distributor within states here in the U.S. The disadvantage is you can't get your wines all over the place, and as a result, consumers lose out, and you lose out maybe on the prestige, but the consumers in those markets that get to take advantage of access to your wines are, I think, the big winners there, and that's terrific.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, please. You.
Well, I wanted to wrap things up here, but make sure that people know, even if they can't find your wines in their market, or if they can, where else they can find out about you. And so, what's your website and any other places that people might learn more about what is happening with your wines and your family property.
Okay, I hope you are going to put some links in the comments.
I will, yes.
Okay, it's we are working at a new website. I said you, me, my cousin, the new future CEO of the Morisfarms. New idea. We have a new website that is still developing, as all the website is never ready. It's always work in progress. It's morisfarms.com, and we have a YouTube video in English of a few minutes that describe Morisfarms and have nice pictures, nice description of where we are located, what we do. And I hope that you will put some pictures of the state of Morisfarms and vineyards to show you how it's beautiful. And
we'll absolutely. we'll make sure to include some additional access so people can just click on a link under the video when they see it. And then the other thing is obviously people have the ability to come visit you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. No. They are welcome. Thank you for introducing this part of Morisfarms, because we, like a Tuscany producer, we are a complete. We have a complete offers. We produce wines and we have villas for tourists. We have 4 villas that we rent with swimming pool, apartments, all located in our fields, in our estate, and connected by cypress trees. We have 6 kilometers of cypress trees with 3,600 plants that connect each of our villa, and any kind of visitor is welcome for a glass of wine to drink, or if they want to take a vacation and relax in our estate, in our houses.
That's terrific. So I want to thank you once again for spending some time with me. I know we caught you at the end of what apparently from your description was a very busy day. So I'm grateful that you were able to slot this in and spend some time telling your story. We'll have links to both your website as well as maybe we'll be able to add some pictures for our audience as well to see a little bit more about the estate and the property. And I really want to thank you, Giulio Parentini. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, you too. It was a pleasure, and I hope maybe we can have another occasion. It was my first time, so I was not ready.
You know, you gave that away because, frankly, you look like a pro doing this, and I hope you have the opportunity to do a lot more. So, thanks, and you travel internationally, so you have excellent English too, which is great.
Quite enough to survive.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap things up here today, and I thank you all for watching. And please do stay tuned for the next Wine Conversations. For now, this is David Baer. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.